It was a beautiful Saturday morning. Me and some friends had planned for weeks to have breakfast together at one of our favorite places here in town. We were sitting outside enjoying our food in the nice weather when I received a text that ended our breakfast and had the potential to change all the plans we had for the next 2 weeks. My wife had just tested positive for COVID. I remember sitting there for what felt like a full minute with no one saying a thing. I was thinking to myself, do I have COVID? Do my kids have COVID? Did I just give my friends COVID? Who had I been in contact with the past few days? As I walked back to the house, my mind was swirling with all the ideas of what to do next and how this was going to change our lives for the next coming weeks. It's a scenario that's becoming more and more common. Thankfully, me and my kids all tested negative, but it still required us to quarantine at home. Now that Ella, my wife, has fully recovered and we are both out of isolation, there are some things we learned along the way that we wanted to share with you because honestly, it was tough. So today, we're going to share what helped us both get through it and come out on the other side healthy and better for it. My name is Jeremy. I'm the pastor of a Christian church here in Dubai. And this is my wife, Ella. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. I think people are going to find this conversation really helpful. So tell us, Ella, what were you thinking when you found out that you got COVID?
Well, first of all, I was in total shock that I got infected by coronavirus. I was doing all the precautions, and it was just a little small headache with a low-grade fever. But then I tested positive, so I was in complete shock. And number two, I immediately got concerned for my family. What if they're also positive for the virus? So yeah, both shocked and concerned.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common experience. So now you found out you're now going to go into isolation.
Yes.
What were you thinking as you went into isolation?
Well, initially at first I thought, I'm going to get better this is going to be just a matter of days. I'm young and healthy, so I'm giving myself maybe less than a week to recover and I'll be okay. And then the first 2 or 3 days, I was just thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. This is just probably an extended me time. I will not be doing any work. I'll not be taking care of my family. Just concentrate on feeling better, and that's it. But the opposite happened. By day 3 or 4, obviously I was still sick, and anxiety started creeping in. Around day 5 and 6, it was not fun.
What was the hardest part about being in isolation?
Well, definitely for me, the mental struggle of it. At that time, I thought I knew everything about COVID. The statistics, the symptoms, how to treat it, and all that. For me, it was no big deal. I was always thinking, okay, I'm gonna get better real soon because I don't have underlying conditions. I'm not in the high risk category, so I'll be okay. But then, it didn't happen. I was sick with fever for 13 days straight, and by around day 5 and 6, I started feeling very, very anxious and scared that I was not getting any better.
Yeah, I'm sure you expected to be better by maybe day 8 or 9 or 10, and you still weren't better.
Not.
That anxiety creeping up in you, what did that feel like? How can this help someone else?
Well, for me, the first clear sign of anxiety was restlessness and having trouble sleeping, because my mind was actively thinking about the worst case scenarios. I knew that I'm not gonna die from coronavirus, but the thought of ending up in the hospital, being on a ventilator was really scary. And that's where my mind, kept dwelling on. And it was just, I scared myself. And I had trouble sleeping because of that. I had little panic attacks at some different points of the day. And obviously, I lost my sense of taste and smell. It was a struggle to eat. So, it all came together, different layers, and I was just really sick and mentally struggling.
I'm sure that was really hard. That sounds difficult.
Very.
What can you say to someone who might be in isolation right now and give them some tips on how to handle it?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, what I did was I cut back on media consumption. I did not read the news at all. Nothing about COVID, no world news, nothing negative, from the media. I made sure that I was not on social media, not scrolling on my phone. Number two, I took care of my body. It was a struggle to eat, but I made sure that I was well hydrated. I drank 3 liters of water a day. I did, steam inhalation because they say it reduced the viral load in the nose and in the lungs, and that worked really well for me. Number 3, as a Christian, obviously I prayed a lot. I read the Bible a lot, slowly. I memorized verses about healing. I fed myself with the Word of God. I didn't have appetite for physical food, but then I made sure that I was feeding on the Word of God. Number 4, I made an effort to connect with other people. It was very important for me to hear other voices, people praying for me over the phone, people messaging me. I had Zoom calls every day, people checking on me. I was checking on people, asking about their lives. It was very important that I heard other people's voices and not just the voices in my own head. That's always like thinking about scary things.
Yeah, I know that there were multiple times where I tried to reach out to you and call you, and you
Yes.
wouldn't answer my phone calls because you were chatting with so many people.
Yes.
I know that definitely helped you.
Definitely. It meant a lot that people actually prayed for me. I had somebody every day calling me and praying for me and speaking truth and encouragement and hope for me. That meant a lot to me emotionally and mentally. So thanks to everyone who's reached out. I really appreciate it. Jeremy, I know that this has been tough on you as well. What was your experience like throughout this time?
Well, it was hard on me for sure. I gained instantly another 2 or 3 jobs once you went into isolation.
Yes.
So not only did I have a full-time job, I also now had to take care of the kids. I had to feed them. I had to make sure that they were safe. I had to bathe them and put them to bed.
They were away from me. You were making them understand that I was sick.
Yeah, it was another full-time job. And then I was also worried about you, so I had to take care, I wanted to check in on you as well. So one thing I learned through all of it is I had to lower my expectations. I just was not physically going to be able to do everything that I had done before that. It was a lot of ordering food at lunchtime for the kids, and I would cook for them at night, but at lunchtime I was working. I ordered them food. So that helped me get through it. And the second thing that I learned was I had to shift my priorities. Sort of that day 1 to 5, 6 was more about working and taking care of the kids at the same time and trying to work out that. And then days 7, 8, I could tell that your mental health was suffering. And so that I kind of shifted my focus or my priorities to checking in on you, giving you some encouragement to help you get through that time. And then by day 9 or 10, I thought that you would be better, but you weren't.
I wasn't.
You were you had fever almost 24 hours a day. You would take Panadol, and the fever would go down for maybe an hour or 2, but then it would come back. And so I shifted my priorities from taking care of you mentally to really taking care of you physically. I was constantly monitoring you, checking you. When's the last time you took Panadol? What's your temperature now? What's the O2 level in your blood? I was constantly monitoring you because they say that the longer someone has COVID, the more serious the symptoms can be.
That's right, yeah.
And so I wanted to really make sure that you were going to recover fully.
You were really a good nurse, Jeremy. And the fact that you were so tuned in and sensitive to my emotional and mental needs, that really, really helped in my recovery, that you were sensitive enough.
Yeah, well, I definitely
Yeah.
loved you, and I didn't want to lose you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was it. I learned I had to lower my expectations, and I had to shift my priorities throughout the whole thing. Well, I hope that this has been a good conversation.
Yes.
For those of you that might be going into isolation, be sure to send this to someone that you may know who is going into isolation. Everybody needs help with this. You should not be doing this alone.
That's right.
And that's why we want you to reach out to us. Send us a message on social media, on our Instagram, Mosaic Dubai, and we would love to have a call with you. Maybe we'll do a video call and we'll pray with you, because you are not alone if you're going through this. Even though you're physically alone, you're not alone. We're here with you, and we care for you, and we love you. And even if you don't go to Mosaic, you don't call Mosaic your church home, it doesn't matter. We still want to be there for you, so reach out to us. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this interview. We hope that you have a great week, and check out our YouTube page where we have lots of more helpful interviews and stories just like this. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.